Hello everyone, I am Fandom Raider, and today I have another fanfiction for you guys. I remember back in September, whenever I first saw the My Little Pony movie, I fell pretty much heads over heels in love with one of the characters in the movie named Capper. And I had put it off on writing a fanfiction about him, even though I desperately wanted to. I guess that it was probably because I had so many other projects going on at the time that I really just didn't seem all that interested in. I just really didn't have the time to make it. And plus, I had so much trouble coming up with ideas. But I finally have some ideas of but I finally had an idea and I wrote out the story, and I am very, very pleased with with the turnout. And keep in mind, this is going to contain spoilers for the movie and the prequel comic to Capper's backstory. So if you haven't seen either, I recommend you go do that now, because then things might not make sense, or if you don't like spoilers, then this is your warning. So let's go ahead and get started. Capper tapped his claw on the fancy table impatiently. After the main six had defeated the Storm King and reformed Tempest, Capper had decided to move to Ponyville. Twilight had thankfully convinced Virgo to release him from debt, and so Capper was free to move on with his life. Rarity had lately been talking to Capper about a female cat friend of hers. After a million times not even Celestia can count of begging, Capper finally agreed to go on a blind date. Rarity set up the reservations to a rather fancy restaurant for the two, and she and the others constantly teased Capper about the date. Capper thought about how he desperately just wanted to get this date over with. He clearly wasn't the type of kitten to go around seeking mates, after all. He'd spent most of his life stealing with his ex-friend Chummer in the first place, but ever since Chummer had left him with crippling debt, he found it hard to trust anyone. Finally, he heard the front doorbell ring. He looked over at the entrance only to see probably the most beautiful cat in his life. She had white as snow fur with blue tips on her ears and tail, along with matching dark blue eyes. She finished talking to the waiter, who pointed over at Capper's table. The girl then looked over and nodded at the female waitress and with a smile. She began walking over, and Capper felt his heart quicken with each step that the girl took. "Hello, are you Capper?" Yeah. You're your name, right?" She nodded and took a seat. Capper then looked at her with the light over them. She was wearing a dark purple dress. Along with a light pink bow on her tail, with her hair lightly tied up. They both began talking a small bit before a waiter came over. The waiter was a male unicorn levitating his notepad, ready to write the orders down. "I'll have a red snapper sandwich with coffee," Capper said casually. The waiter scribbled the order down and turned over to you with an odd look on his face. I'll just have a tuna soup with some apple cider." He smiled wider and scribbled it down and began to trot away. But not before he winked at you. You blushed a little, and you could have sworn you seen Capper glare at him. "So, Rarity has told me so much about you. And if I'm being honest, you seem far more handsome and charming than she made you appear," he said shyly. Capper looked at you with a sort of shocked expression. Oh, well, thank you. If I may as well, I wasn't so on board with this blind date, but you seem way more beautiful than I thought. I'm surprised you are still single," he said with a slight smirk. "I've also heard you're a very charming kitten." Clearly, that is very true. You both began playfully flirting with each other until a pony cleared his throat. You looked over and saw the waiter with your food. He set the plates and drinks down and then turned to you. "Ma'am, can I speak to you privately for a moment?" You grew so confused and looked over at Capper. He was glaring at the waiter almost too hard. If looks can kill, that waiter would have been long gone. You nodded and stood up. You followed the waiter over to the other side of the restaurant, and the unicorn smirked widely. "So, why don't we ditch that date of yours? I have some special dishes to give you of my own." You froze. He was trying to get you to ditch Capper? I can't do that. Oh, come on, kitten. This pony can give you way more than that piece of ratty garbage." Suddenly, you heard a hand slam into the wall behind the waiter. He turned around slowly, only to see Capper glaring down furiously. Why don't you leave my little lady alone and go get me a refill? Otherwise, I'll have a talk with your manager. The waiter almost looked as pale as a dentist's teeth. He quickly rushed off to the kitchen, and you turned over to Capper. Thanks. I was kind of scared there. Don't worry about it, your name. That little pony isn't laying a hoof or a paw on you. The rest of the date went off without a hitch, and you and Kemper spent the whole night enjoying each other's company. You both even got a free dessert out of the waiter thanks to Capper. You both were at your house, finally back from the crazy date. Capper gave you his number, and he was about to turn to leave, but you stopped him. Wait, Capper. I wanted to thank you for the dinner and everything. Can you close your eyes? A part of Capper knew what was about to happen, but he hesitantly closed his eyes. You then forcefully kissed him. He was shocked at first, but slowly trailed his paws down to your waist, and you scratched his ears gently with your claws, and giggled as he broke away. Capper was a blushing mess, and you weren't any better. He giggled. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Capper. Maybe we can meet up at Sugar Cube Corner around 9 a.m.? He was too dazed to answer, so he just nodded. He giggled again and kissed his cheek. You then went into your house, thinking of how excited you were for tomorrow. Capper, however, was speechless. This little kitten was something for sure. There was no doubt about that. The end. So basically, I had a lot of fun writing this, and despite the fact that I haven't been feeling my best, I've been feeling kind of sick, I still managed to push through and continue working because I really, really wanted to get this out. So I had so much fun making this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed writing it. So, I guess that's it. This is Phantom Writer, and I will be seeing you all very soon. Bye-bye.